Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem Leshalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Berchuni Leshalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Zeitchem Leshalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yalailai, 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 Yalailai,
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Good Shabbos. It is a privilege, a gift to welcome Shabbat, and even a bigger one to welcome Shabbat in community. We welcome those joining us in Zoom, and of course those joining us on YouTube and Facebook. We invite you to share in the comments where you're connecting with us from, and to say good Shabbos to each other, and even to write personal notes to each other and saying Shabbat Shalom, or whatever blessing you want to share with each other. This is a Shabbat of Parashat Vayetze, a Shabbat that starts the beginning of the story of Jacob as a responsible adult, the beginning of his journey and his personal transformation. And as we learn that personal transformation, as we learn that transformative experiences are possible, we pray for this Shabbat to be the transformative experience that each of us needs. As we enter this sanctuary, we ask for the ability, we ask for the tools to find the peace that Shabbat invites us to experience. Prepare your Shabbos candles if you have them. Prepare your Kiddush cup. As we together, we will welcome Shabbat. And if you don't have Shabbat candles, so we hope, we know that the light of the candles that we will be lighting here will bring a beacon of light to each one of you, to your homes. We're on page 124, Adlakat Nerot, the blessing for the candle lighting, and I invite you to turn your Sidurim as we can start in that way Shabbat together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
We now turn our Sidurim to page 130 to welcome Shabbat with joy. We're on page 130 and followed by 131, Lechun el Enah and Shiru l'Adonai, Psalms 95 and 96.
La
תגל הארץ, ישמחו אם רבים. אור זרוע לצדיק, ולשרי לב שמחה. שמחו צדיקים באדוני, בהודו לזכר קודשו. מזמור שיר לאדוני, שיר חדש כי נפלאות עשה. We sing a song for the wonders, the marvelous things that we find, that we experience in our lives. And as we sing those songs, as we go one by one through these psalms, these melodies, these words of prayer, these millennia-old words of love, we start entering this sacred space of Shabbat, and we start becoming a palace on time ourselves. We're on page 134 for Zamru Adonai.
Zamru l'Adonai bechinot, bechinot v'kol zimra, b'chatzotrot v'kol shofar, hariu לפני המלך אדוני. יום היום ומלואו, תבל ויושבי בה, הידי נהרות, עמך וכף כף יחד, הרים ירדנו. לפני אדוני
קיווה לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל וצדק, בעמים במישרים. יום היום ומלואו, אף יחד הרים ירדנו,
אף יחד הרים ירדנו.
מזמור לדוד, we're on page 136, Psalm 29.
מזמור לדוד, הבו לאדוני פני אלים. מזמור לדוד, הבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז. מזמור לדוד, הבו לאדוני פני אלים.
מזמור לדוד, הבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז. הבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז. הבו לאדוני כבוד שלו. הבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז. הבו לאדוני כבוד שלו. מזמור לדוד, הבו לאדוני פני אלים. מזמור לדוד, הבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז. לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. And it's in the search of that peace that we come to the encounter of the beloved. Searching for love that we welcome Shabbat, that we run toward this experience of a treasure in time. As we turn our Siddurim to page 138, beloved, come to meet the bride. Beloved, come to greet Shabbat. Lecha dodi likrat kala. We're on page 138.
Lecha dodi likrat kala. Yadadada, 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 bnei Shabbat nekabla. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Yadadada, 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 bnei Shabbat nekabla. Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad ishmiyanu el hameyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem u'letiferet ve'liteilah. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Yadadada, 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 bnei Shabbat nekabla. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Yadadada, 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 bnei Shabbat nekabla.
לקראת שבת, לכו ונהגים בכל הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה ומחשבתך, לי לי לי, לך דודי לקראת כלה.
Yadadada, 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 bnei Shabbat nekabla.
לך דודי
לקראת כלה. Yadadada, 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 bnei Shabbat nekabla. התעוררי, 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 כי באורך קומי אורי. אורי, אורי, שדברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך ניגי. לך דודי לקראת כלה. ידדדה, 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 בני שבת נקבה. לך דודי לקראת כלה. ידדדה, 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 בני שבת נקבה.
לא תהושי ולא תקהלי, מה תשתוכחי ומה התהמי, ויחסו אני ימי ונבנתה גדלתי לי לי לי. לך דודי לקראת כלה. בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה. בני שבת נקבלה. In the last verse of Lecha Dodi, we rise to welcome the bride, to welcome the Kala.
בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצוהלה. תוכם עונה עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה.
Ay, ay, ay.
לחדורי לקראת כלה יאללה 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 לשבת נקלה לחדורי לקראת כלה לשבת נקלה לחדורי לקראת כלה לשבת נקלה.
Shabbat Shalom everyone. Shabbat is among us. We have welcomed Shabbat. So we want to take a moment to acknowledge each other's presence, to welcome Shabbat, to welcome those that are joining us on YouTube and of course on Facebook, and to ask those that are joining us on Zoom to wave your hands, to say good Shabbos to each other. We acknowledge those in our sanctuary, Gabriel, Evan, Tabi, Zach, and without, what?
Rabbi?
I'm here too. I am here too. And as we move and we get forward in our Kabbalat Shabbat, getting closer to Ma'ariv, we take one more moment for one more song. We grant Shabbat one more song. Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat, Psalm 92, on page 140.
שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות עלי שתולים בבית אדוני בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו עד יטובון בסבע ישנים ורעננים יהיו להגיד ישר אדוני סורים לו עבדת
לעולם ולעול בהלמיה יתברך
יתברך וישבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשא בריחו לעילם ינקוב וחטא לשירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן והלמה ויברו אמן.
ידה לי 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 ידה לי 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 As we turn our Siddurim to page 146, as we step closer to the Shema, to the moment in which we acknowledge the unity of God, the oneness of God, we take a moment to acknowledge the diversity of our minyan. We acknowledge that the unity of God isn't found in uniformity, but in the diversity of our community. We recognize that the echad, the oneness, comes through the acher, through the otherness. We tell each one of those that are surrounding us that we count them, that they're important, that each of their pieces help us to make the oneness, the unity of God. Page 146, Baruch.
Baruch et Adonai, Yadalai lai Yadalai,
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time, and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness, and darkness from light. ומביא יום, ומהביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, אמרי ורבים. אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. Everlasting love you offer your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lay down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם בלילה. באהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. I'm about to take a moment, a breath, as we turn our Siddurim to page 152. And as we take toward the Shema, that portion of divine love, as we recognize our unity with each other and with our own souls. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Please join me on page 154 with Ve'ahavta. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. אמת באמונה כל זאת בקיים עלינו, יהיו אדוני אלוהינו בן זולתו, ואנחנו ישראל עמו. Your children witness your presence. They praise your name in gratitude, and they accepted your sovereignty. Moshe, Miriam, and all Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices with joy. Who is like you, O God? Mi kamocha ve'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar v'kodesh. How wonderful are the wonders of the creation. כי אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. It is said, God redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. ברוך אתה אדוני גואל ישראל. Blessed are you, Adonai, Redeemer of Israel. That place of redemption, of liberation and hope, is that we can ask to find internal peace, wholeness. Ashkeveinu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom. We're on page 116.
Adonai Eloheinu leShalom v'hamidenu shomrenu lechaim ufro עצה טובה מלפניך. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעבידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעבידנו שומרנו לחיים. ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום, ואתה ואדוני. אלוהינו לשלום, והעבידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעבידנו מלכנו לחיים. ברוך אתה אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. Blessed are you, Adonai, the shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over the city of peace, your holy city, Jerusalem. Amen.
שמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. It is a covenant for the people of Israel to keep Shabbat as a part of our lives, to keep searching for meaning, to keep searching for this partnership with God, to recognize the creation as an unfolding gift, and every Shabbat anew to somehow become more deeply aware of our souls. We turn our theory into page 164 for Tfilat Amidah as we turn toward Jerusalem.
Adonai, שפתי תפתח, ופי יגיד תהילתך. אדוני, שפתי תפתח, ופי יגיד תהילתך. אדוני,
שפתי תפתח,
שפתי תפתח,
ופי יגיד
תהילתך.
Open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. אתה גיבור לעולם, אדוני מהחיים מתאים הטוב, רב להושיע, משיעות חוכמו להידאגה, השם חגיכם בחסד בחיים מדהימים לנו, כמו שאני עושה. תמרוך את אדוני לחיים, אמיתיים, הקדוש קדוש ובקדוש וקדיש, לא יחזור, אדוני. קדוש. נגיד, אז זה משהו ילד שלך, תכילו מה זה משהו, ואז בחודה. זה מה אני בחודה, Open my heart to your Torah, that I may pursue your mitzvot. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום. עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. The one who makes peace will help us recognize that the power of making peace is within us. It's in our hands. And may God bless us with that ability of recognizing, embracing, and creating its peace. We take a moment as we conclude our Filat Amidah to acknowledge people dealing with illness in their bodies, illness in their souls. We think of those dealing with addictions. And we invite you to share the names of those that you are thinking of in this Erev Shabbat, in this night of Shabbat, whether you are on Facebook, YouTube, and of course here on Zoom. As we try to direct our prayers and loving energies toward them, and we pray for their recovery, the Refuah Shlema on page 371.
Sheberach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who will bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us sing Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha laavotenu, the souls in need of healing, with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us sing Amen.
We wish to all of them, to all of you, to all of us, רפואה שלמה והחלמה מהירה, a complete and a fast recovery. Let us say
Amen.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Can you hear me well? Okay, that's good news. That's very good news. So this Torah portion is the best Torah portion in the entire Torah. And the reason it's the best Torah portion in the entire Torah is because it's my Bar Mitzvah's Torah portion. Period. All the rest are okay. This one is a very important one. Now, if you would tell me when I became a Bar Mitzvah that one day I was going to become a rabbi, I would have thought that you were kidding. Had no idea that this was going to be my journey. And maybe one of the most interesting things about this Torah portion is the idea of uncertainty. I will talk about that in one more minute. There are things that are very certain right away at the beginning of this Torah portion, and there are things that are certainly uncertain. So, Pirkei Avot, on its 3rd chapter, in the first verse, the ethics of our parents in the Mishnah, Masechet Nesikim, says, Akiva ben Me'alel Omer. Rabbi Akiva, the son of Me'alel, says, look at 3 things. Observe 3 things. Be watchful of 3 things, and that will help you to prevent yourself from Averah. Now, the English translation says sin, but the word Averah is transgression, actually, of missing boundaries, of missing your target. Now, da, mein, bata, you shall know where you came from, where you're going, belean ulean ata olech, ולפני מי אתה עתיד לתת דין בחשבון, and before whom you will be held accountable in the future. Mein bata, where you came from? You came from like a spoiled molecule. Where are you going to? That's exactly what the Mishnah says. Where are you going to? You're going to be dust. ולפני מי אתה עתיד לתת דין בחשבון? And before whom you will be held accountable? Well, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, before the King of Kings, the blessed be him or her or them. Now, this is a very important idea, and I want to explain a few things about this. You might think that the rabbis came up with this idea for the first time. And I actually think it comes from Parashat Vayetze, from the Torah portion we are reading. I'll try to show it to you. But before I do that, there's this famous saying that when we are born, in the context of certainty, when we are born, the only thing we know is that we are going to die. All the rest of the journey is for us to figure that out. Now, how do we do with uncertainty? Is uncertainty comfortable to you? Well, probably not so much. Most of the time, when we are uncertain about something, we try to kill uncertainty. We don't know what to do with uncertainty, and therefore, every time it appears, we try to fill those holes with something. It doesn't really matter what, but something. Now, let's read Parashat Vayetze a little bit, and you will see what I am referring to. ויצא יעקב מבאר שבע וילך חרנה. And Jacob left Beersheba. He came out from Beersheba. He knew where he came from, Beersheba. וילך, and he will go to Haran. There's a very clear origin, and there's a very clear destination. So the first thing that the Torah portion states is that there is a very high level of certainty. Most people don't know where they came from, where they are going. Jacob knew. Now, ויפגע במקום, וילן שם. He came upon a certain place, and stopped there for the night. He fell asleep, for the sun had set. Now, the rabbis say, very interestingly, that when the Torah says that he came upon certain place, a makom. Makom is one of the names of God. So the rabbis say, well, it might be a place, a geographic location, but it could be possible that he is meeting somehow the divine presence. He took a stone and he put it under his head. Now what happens once he falls asleep? Jacob has two very famous dreams. One is the ladder, and it will happen right now, and the other one later on is the fight with the angel. We spoke about that fight, even though it's in the next Torah portion. We spoke about that fight in the last Torah portion. We'll speak about that once again next week. Now he's fallen asleep, and he's seen this ladder. Now, he had a dream, a stairway or a ramp was set on the ground, and its top reached to the sky. And angels of God were going up and down on it. He's seeing something, some motion, some connection, some continuity to a journey. He sees the beginning of the journey. He doesn't really see the end. His vision is limited, but he understands that the end is not really the end, that there is some continuity. And the Lord, Yah, the source of all being, was standing beside him and said, I am Yah, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. I guess that God also thought about Sarah and Rebekah. The ground on which you are laying, I will assign to you and to your offspring. There's a moment of covenant and promise, and meaning that is beyond that specific moment in which he is running away and afraid because his brother wanted to kill him, and he's full of uncertainty. There's a certainty, a promise, a hope for a better future. Your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth. You shall spread out to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. We used to sing that at the end of the services. Uparatsta, right? In every possible direction. All the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you and your descendants. Remember, I am with you. You're not alone. I will protect you wherever you go and will bring you back to this land. There's a destination. We'll have a long path, but there is some certainty at the end. Maybe death is our certainty. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. And here's the real moment of uncertainty. Jacob wakes up and says, Vaiketz Yaakov Mishnato, Vayomer, Achen Yesh Adonai, Bamakom Aseh, Banochi Lo Yadati. Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, surely God is present in this place. Once again, the word place. And I did not know it. Now, if you read in a quick reading, it feels or it looks like or it sounds like that all of a sudden Jacob became aware of God's presence. And if you think about the gestures or what it looks like for Jacob to wake up and to say, there is God in this place, I always thought about this kind of motion. Yesh Elohim, there is God in this place, right? And I did not know it. And I think that an interesting different way to look at that is to say that all of a sudden, Jacob woke up and says, there is God in this place. In this place. And I did not know it. Now, the certainty of God's presence is accompanied by a very important condition. And what's that condition? Uncertainty. He says, I did not know. We live in a world in which we try to answer to every single thing that we have in our lives with algorithms. Now, we believe that all the answers are somehow known in advance. You just need to build an algorithm that is big enough, wide enough, wise enough. And I think that the reality of recognizing the divine presence, the reality of recognizing and experiencing awe and wonder comes from a place of uncertainty, where we are absolutely certain about everything, when we are too busy trying to define the origin and the destination, and trying to find answers before we were able to formulate the questions, then there's no place for wonder, there's no place for awe, and certainly there's no place for God. I think that this Torah portion by Yetze is an invitation for us to recognize that we know what we know, and also to recognize that it's okay and actually a good idea not to know what we don't know, and to embrace our journeys, trying to not to get rid of what we don't know, but trying to embrace what we don't know and our uncertainties and ambiguity in our lives with the same fervor that we try to embrace the things that we know. My friends, we live in a world in which we believe that we can Google the answers for the questions that we haven't been able to ask yet. How often do you go to Google? For how long do you hold to uncertainty? We have linked uncertainty with anxiety, with fear. And I don't think that uncertainty should be linked to anxiety and fear. I think that uncertainty, and I think that that's the case that the Torah is trying to make, is linked to opportunity and possibility. I think that in our tradition, uncertainty is linked to faith. And as Rabbi Jonathan Sachs says, faith is the defeat of probability of what we know, probability, by the power of possibility. The defeat of probability by the power of possibility. And the Kabbalah says that in that place in which we recognize the encounter, maybe the ladder, the encounter between certainty and uncertainty, between yes and eyeing, the reality of the divine presence, the reality of an absence that is always present. In that place of gathering, is that faith and hope are born. And maybe understanding that uncertainty is such an important component in order to lead our journeys is that we can reclaim hope and faith. So with this idea of reclaiming hope and faith by embracing uncertainty, I want to leave you this Shabbat as we pray to open our hearts, to open our minds to say, there is God in this place. There is awe in this place. There is wonder in our world, and I did not know. Shabbat Shalom. We'll continue our service on page 586. Let us return to you, and we will return. We acknowledge that returning starts from our hearts, from this place. Behashevota El levavecha Ki Adonai Hu Elohim Behashevota El levavecha Ki Adonai Hu Elohim Nehemar Ve'aya Adonai Lemelech al kol haaretz Vayom ahu Yeh Adonai echad U'shemo May we see that we take a moment to acknowledge mourners among our community. We acknowledge those during the cycle of the first 7 days of mourning, the first 30 days of mourning, and so those during the cycle of the first year of mourning. We, of course, acknowledge those that are that have a yahrzeit this week, that are remembering the anniversary of someone's passing by this time of the year in years past. We invite you to share the names of your beloved ones in the comment section on Facebook, YouTube, and of course here on Zoom. And if you're writing on Zoom, I will be able to read as soon as the comments are open.
And I'm remembering Joan Guiano.
This is also my grandmother yahrzeit, so I will be reciting Mourner's Kaddish as well. So can I ask you to open the comments on Zoom so I can read? No one has commented. Rita Silverstein, of course we are remembering Mark's mother. Can you open them, please? Yes. So we are unfortunately unable to attend to the comments of those joining us on YouTube and on Facebook, but we can attend to those that are joining us here on Zoom. Page 598, Mourner's Kaddish, Kaddish Avelim, Yitgadal, Ve'yitkadash, Shemer Rava, Ve'alma, Divra, Hirute, Ve'amlich Malchute, V'chayechon u'vyomechon, V'chayei dechol Beit Israel, Ba'agala u'izman kari b'imru Amen. Ye'eh Shemer Rava mevorach le'olam u'lmei almaya yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh. והתהדר, והתעלה, והתהלל, שמד קודשה, בריחו. תהילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה. תושבחתה בנחמתה. תמירם בעלמה, ואמרו אמן. כאש למר רבה מן שמיה, וחיים טובים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. May the memories of your dear ones, of our beloved ones, be always a blessing in our lives. Yeh zichram baruch. Tov. A few quick announcements. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. we have our traditional Torah study, and at 10 a.m. we have Shacharit Shel Shabbat. I want to reiterate that for now, we are not gathering in person on Friday nights. Now, we are really excited about the opportunity of coming together with a group of congregants that are willing to commit to come every single Friday night for a certain period of time, and then we will feel comfortable reopening Friday nights. So here's the challenge. This is the Minyan challenge. In our tradition, in order to run a service, you need to have 10 people. I think the Minyan challenge should be, in our case, at least 20 that show up, and they commit to show up for 6 months, every single Friday. We have that commitment on Saturday mornings. It happens. So the challenge is to do that on Friday nights. So we would love to hear from you. We will be reaching out to you in the next couple of weeks, explaining this invitation, because we understand that after the pandemic, there are certain muscles that need to go to rehab. And the muscle of showing up has been severely injured. So in order to do serious and real rehab, we need to decide, all of us together, that we are going to work this out. And we will. But it's not a clergy decision or a board decision. We can decide. But the only way to make this a reality of participation, once again, is by all of us committing to reinvigorate and rekindle the beauty of the gathering in person. Now, by that, I don't mean by any means that we will stop doing making sure that we are live streaming and everybody's connecting from wherever you are. But I think that we need both at this point. So we will be working on that together. Now, next week on the 19th, we have family services. We encourage you to come, and that's going to be in person. So great opportunity. And for those that are here in person, at 5:30, there is a light dinner. At 6 p.m. services, and after services, there is some wine and cheese and some desserts. So we hope that you will live transformed. And if you don't live this space, this sanctuary transformed, at least you won't live hungry. Okay? So that's an important thing to remember. And on the 20th, we will have our, after services, our lunch and learn interfaith conversation. The beginning of the conversation will be on gratitude, and later on we will talk about other things. An interesting thing that I discovered in some of the conversations I have this week is that many times we fall into the trap of measuring fellow human beings that are complex and have so many things that they think about and they study about and they care of over the things that we care about. So we define them and we reflect on them, on the experience or the idea that we have about certain things that somehow might be related to them. And I think that that's how we don't really engage in interfaith conversation. So we have a conversation with ourselves, it's a monologue, and then we convert the fellow leaders or the fellow thinkers in artifacts of our internal monologue. So I think we had the great opportunity to get to know two beautiful religious leaders that lead with love and deal with building congregational life here in Fullerton. Imam Keisar Shavir, and so Father Dennis Chris. They are remarkable, remarkable colleagues, and I'm really, really excited that the two of them will be coming to TVT on the 20th, and we will get to discuss with them, learn with them, and get to know them. I think the most important thing is just to get to know them, which is very, very exciting. That's all the information I had to share. With that said, we will do Kiddush. Kiddush, Kiddush.
Is it too early to talk about Hanukkah? You can say yes.
You can say Hanukkah. Say Hanukkah in the meantime.
I'll say Hanukkah. I'll say my special part of Hanukkah.
Talk about Hanukkah, Gabi.
Okay. Well, for December 5th, which is that the second to last night of Hanukkah? Maybe, perhaps, somewhere around there. But it's December 5th. It's a Sunday. I am hosting my first ever cantorial concert. And it is called Ad Hanukkah. And it is going to be kind of piano bar cabaret themed. And you're going to hear some interesting interpretations of certain Hanukkah pieces. And you're going to hear some new versions of parodies of ABBA songs that have to do with Hanukkah. And it'll be great. Written by me. And there's going to be a cocktail hour before the party. And yes, it is cocktail attire. So please. We have a dress code. We're classy.
It's going to be very, very exciting. We can't wait for that to happen.
And a couple friends from AJR are going to be joining me as well.
Saveinu mituvecha vesamcheinu bishuatecha kahachenu v'mitzvotecha v'ten chelkeinu v'toratecha ayayray saveinu mituvecha v'samcheinu v'shuatecha v'taher liveinu v'taher liveinu v'taher liveinu lehovdecha v'emet taher liveinu v'taher liveinu v'taher liveinu lehovdecha v'elai yaralai 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 be'anchileinu Adonai Eloheinu b'aba u'beratzon Shabbat kodechecha Shabbat kodechecha be'anchileinu Adonai Eloheinu b'aba u'beratzon Shabbat kodechecha Shabbat kodechecha בערב ויבוקר יום השישי ויחול השמיים בארץ בכל צבאם ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. סברי חבריי וחברותיי וקצה לחיים ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פרי הגפן ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ברצה בנו בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו זיכרון למעשה בראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים הבנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת עם כל העמים בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת לחיים. And as we get to the end of our service, we make sure that we all become partners in a circle of blessing. We are carriers and receivers of blessings. In our journeys, in the places that we have left, in the many directions we have taken our lives, we have been carriers and receivers of blessings. In times of absolute certainty, we have counted and be accompanied by the blessings of those who loved us. And also in times of uncertainty, in times of blurriness, in times in which we felt lost, we were also surrounded and accompanied by blessings. We think of the loving presence of our grandparents, of our parents. We think of the legacy of love of previous generations, as we think also of the love that we carry and we share with the generations that came after us, with our children, with our grandchildren, with our friends. We pray for them to be inspired as were the parents, the fathers, the mothers of Israel. ישימך אלוהים כשרה רבקה רחל ולאה, ישימך אלוהים כאפרים וכמנשה. We tell to all of them, יברככם אדוני וישמרכם. May God bless you and protect you. May you experience the safety that comes from knowing who you are. אדוני פניו אליכם ויחונקם. May God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you. May you recognize light and love in the different places you find yourselves. יישא אדוני פניו אליך. May you feel God's presence within you always. May God's presence lift you up. May you recognize that presence במקום הזה, within yourself. And may you find the most beautiful gift that God has given to each of us. The gift of integrity, the gift of wholeness, the gift of its peace. אדוני עוש לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמיו בשלום. שבת שלום, שבת שלום ומבורך to everyone. Shabbat Shalom everyone, good Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbos, Shabbos.